All right, I'd like to welcome all our Facebook Live people to Boost Biz Ed. We have a room full of people here that just finished some of the networking commercials around the room, but wanted to welcome you guys and do a quick intro. Boost Biz Ed is Boost Business Education. It's a networking group formed kind of out of necessity. It kind of evolved from 8.5 years ago where we met at a coffee shop to what it is today when we bring in professional speakers to teach and educate us a little bit more. So we have in the room networking, so you get to network, pass cards, meet people in the room, and then we hand over to a presenter to teach a specific business related topic. It can range anywhere from finances to the sex of HR to marketing to all kinds of cool stuff. So we welcome you. We encourage you to come in person to see this because we are trying to build communities and all that, and we do that best belly to belly, face to face. So we appreciate that everybody here made it in the room, but want to hand it over to our speaker today. We have John Gies. John is an international speaker, consultant, and coach, having worked with clients across North America and Europe. He is also the author of the forthcoming book, Your Money or Your Life: How Communication Impacts Patient Health and the Bottom Line. After almost 30 years in sales, John recognized the power of communication to achieve results. Now, after years of research and application, he is going to share with us how communication impacts the bottom line. We'll look at the quantifiable impact on the bottom line as well as the qualitative influence on human performance while giving us the experience and methodology to leverage communication to create teams that perform. John is a graduate of the University of St. Thomas. He's a certified professional coach and speaker. So please help me welcome John to the front of the room.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Oh, you had it there.
I had it. Just go ahead, jump in.
So, people say communicating to the bottom line. What is that all about? We as leaders move our people, move our business through communications. We no longer live in a world where we are truly independent. I don't hunt for my food. I don't make my own clothes. I have to move my business through other people. And the way we do that is through the way we communicate. So today we're going to look at communication from the point of impact, because people often say, well, it's kind of a nice, soft, fuzzy skill, but how do we improve that? So we're going to look at the quantifiable piece, actual numbers, and we're going to give you an experience of how it impacts you physically, so you get a visceral impact on communications. We'll talk about the keys to communication, and when we have these 4 keys in mind, we are more effective, more powerful, and more influential. And then I want to save some time at the end for you to prepare for a powerful conversation that's coming up. So when we think about quantifiable, according to the Workplace Productivity, Communication, and Technology Report, last year we lost $15,000 per employee per year due to poor communications. 100 people, that's $1.5 million. That's a big slice of the business. The Holmes report says it's closer to 26,000. Even if it's split, it's a big number. And today, Gallup continues to report that a little over 2/3 of our workforce is unengaged. That means they're not showing up for work, they're not giving us their best. And when you look at the numbers, they're 40% less productive, they are less safe, and we lose money on them. About 18% of them are actively trying to sabotage the business. Does anybody know the number one reason why our employees are unengaged?
They're too tired.
They're too tired. It's the relationship they have with their boss. And how do we build relationships? We build relationships through the way we connect and through the way that we communicate. So as you look at this slide, who wants to tell me what they're feeling inside? Stop. What else?
Put that down.
Put that down. You've got kids. How about for you?
I just feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. You don't have a choice. What's happened is your brain has released cortisol and adrenaline. And what that does is when that impacts your brain, it takes you from the front part of the brain where we're creative, collaborative, and innovative, and it takes you down to the survival part of your brain where we are, can I fight it? Can I run from it, or do I freeze? We're in survival mode. That's why when we give shocking information to people and they look like deer caught in the headlights, They are. They're stuck. And that's not where we want to communicate with people. We want people innovative and creative. And we do this every day through the way we communicate by raising our voice in meetings, by looking out the window. My least favorite is when people pull out their phone in a conversation. There's actually a word for this now. It's called phubbing. P-H-U-B-B-I-N-G. It means phone snubbing. And so if you think about how you feel when you're in a conversation and someone pulls out their phone to check their tweets or their Facebook page, it doesn't feel very good, does it? And we do that by non-listening. How often have you been in a meeting and heard someone go, it kind of just, you can feel that chemistry. I'd love to tell you that just by saying yes, we could turn it around, but that's not the case. By the way, how are you feeling right now? You feeling inspired? You feeling excited? Or are you feeling kind of
A little depressed.
a little depressed? All right, so we're going to change that. Like I said, it's not as easy as saying yes, but it doesn't take a lot. So we're going to take about 2 minutes and do an exercise. Let me give you the instructions. This is a silent exercise. When I say go, you will stand up and get into your best Superman or Superwoman pose. You will turn to your neighbor and you will smile. And in your heart, you will just wish them goodwill, loving kindness, to have a great day, silently. And we'll just do that for 15 seconds. Are you ready? Go. All right, have a seat. So, I got to give you guys credit. This is the first time I've done this out of countless times that you are almost silent. Most often there's a lot of giggling and laughing going on, but tell me how you're feeling right now. Better.
Thankful.
Thankful.
Glad I worked out this morning.
Glad you worked out. Yeah. Yeah, and how long did that take? It didn't take very long. We all think that we have to have these big culture plans, these big initiatives to change dynamics. It can be as simple as a smile. When you come into your office or when you walk into your client's meeting and you're frustrated by the telephone call you just got off of, and so you're frowning, Paul thinks I'm frowning at him, and I'm not. I'm just carrying on another conversation. So when we can take just a little bit of time, maybe go into the restroom and just take a breath, get settled, we can change the dynamic of our conversations. And because we are contagious, when we change ourselves, we change the interaction we have with all of the other people we communicate with. But on a longer term basis, we do this by creating the behaviors of trust and the language of trust in our organization. Here in the West, we like to have about 61% eye contact. So as I'm making eye contact with you, these people in the room feel connected because you and I are connected. That's something called mirror neurons. And whether it's one-to-one or many-to-many, we want to connect with each other. Extending trust. If you want people to be trustworthy, when we extend trust, research tells us they will most often respond in a trustworthy manner. Posture. This is one of those things. We're all now spending our times on our phones, and behind our desks, in our cars. And as I stand here and tell you how exciting I am to be here, it just doesn't feel very inspiring. But when we open up, again, one-to-one or one-to-many, people feel more open to what we say. I meet a lot of people in coffee shops. Those are short little tables. So I tend to sit cross-legged. But now I'm sideways to my audience, so I have to make a conscious effort to open myself up. Because if I'm doing this to you, you don't feel very connected. And we've seen all of these people that get like this, and it shuts down the message that we're trying to impart. Our voice is a remarkable tool. Rich, you know this with your background. When we think about the pace, the pitch, the pause, all of that impacts the way our audience receives us. How many of you have had that fast-talking salesperson pitch you? How'd that feel? Yeah. Why did it feel yeah?
Because they're not listening to me. They're just doing their thing, talking.
Right. Did you trust them?
No.
No. So when we can slow down Actually, Newberg and Waldman say 10-word bursts. I don't know that we have to slow down to 10-word bursts, but when we slow down and give our audience a chance to capture our message, it also gives them a chance to process and ask a question if they want. I was telling Connie earlier, I was listening to a sales guy the other day. He spoke 12 minutes uninterrupted in a pitch. I'm in awe of that because I had a dozen questions. I'm sure his buyer had even more. Our voice, when we raise our voice up, when we get nervous, my voice tends to go higher. And when I get up higher, research says you don't trust me. So when that happens and you feel yourself going up, you can exhale. And pretty soon you're talking back down in your natural state. And when we're here, we sound a little more trustworthy. And then there's the pause. When we present an idea and are quiet, and we give them a chance to process the information, we are demonstrating trust in ourselves. When we try to fill that void of silence, people wonder, why can't they just let me process that? So those are behaviors. If you take nothing else from today but these 5 phrases, you will transform the conversations you're having with your team. I trust your judgment. Thank you. I forgive you. When I was very early in my career, I was 5 months into my first job with Owens Corning Fiberglass. My job was to sit behind a desk, take inbound calls, enter orders for installation, and ship them from exciting places like Toledo, Ohio, to Bismarck, North Dakota, or Sioux Falls, South Dakota. George from Sioux Falls called me one day and said, John, you sent me the wrong installation. I'm 24 years old. I don't make mistakes. I pulled up my computer and said, well, George, what'd you receive? He said, I received product 8, 9, and 10. George, that's what the computer shows. He says, yeah, John, but if you look at my last 10 orders, I've never ordered that. Now, you have to know, George was a manufactured housing producer. So he produced a pretty standard design. And sure enough, 1, 2, and 3. This was a $15,000 mistake that I made. George, let me get back to you. I talked to Jeff, the door closes. I hear that behind the door. Where do you think I am? Am I creative and collaborative, or am I down in my survival mode? Right, I'm down in survival. Jeff comes out and says, John, take care of George, and then come see me. Knock, knock, knock. Come on in, close the door, have a seat. John, what happened? Geez, Jeff, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do it, but the expensive installation is here, the cheaper is over here. I think I just transcribed it. Well, what will you do not to do that again? Well, I can take a highlighter and highlight the expensive stuff so that when I see that I'm looking at the pink stuff, it's expensive. Do you think that will work? I do. I'm really sorry, Jeff. Please don't fire me. He says, all right, go back to work. What did not happen there?
You didn't yell at me.
He didn't yell at me. I didn't get a performance improvement plan. There were no blame. He forgave me. And here's where that becomes important. A few months later, our salespeople were spending a lot of time working with this newfangled computer program, trying to manage energy efficient design. But because they were on the computer program, they weren't out selling. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for the phone to ring. I raised my hand. I was willing to stick my neck out again because I didn't get it chopped off the first time. Because we were so successful in our region, I got to train all of the other customer service reps, and then I got promoted into sales. All because Jeff forgave me. When you forgive your people when they make those kinds of mistakes and they have a plan for resolving it, they're willing to be creative, to collaborate, to stick their necks out again in the future. So we've now talked about the impact the communication has. We've seen dollars and cents. You've had a chance to kind of experience a little bit. There are 4 keys that I think when we remember these keys, we can be even more effective in the way we communicate. Clarity, candor, respect, and attention. So this is an Air Force commander telling his people he has to work overtime. So imagine that it's Friday afternoon, you've got a project that's due on Monday, and it's not going to get done. So you go from employee to employee to employee. I need you to work Saturday. I need you to work Saturday. I need you to work Saturday. You get to John, and John says, whoa, Saturday's a special day. Boss says, what's so special about that? It's my daughter's annual recital. She looks forward to this every year. I haven't missed a one. It's really special. I hope you have a good time, the boss says. Did the boss give John the day off? I hear a yes over here. Anybody have another option? It's really not clear. I can tell you that if I'm the boss, I've given John just enough time to go to the recital and come back. But it's not clear, and this happens all the time in the way we communicate. We're not clear. John may be thinking he got the whole day off because the boss did not ask a couple of clarifying questions. Like, how much time do you need? When can you be back? When we take the time to slow down and get clear in our own mind what we need, and when we're clear with what other people have said, we can clarify what we want them to do. How many of you have had a leaky faucet? I'm the guy that leaps under, tears it apart, and goes to work. And I'll run to Home Depot and I'll get the gasket. I'll come home and I'll realize, plumber's tape. I'm back to Home Depot. I come home and I'll be darned if I didn't need a little plumber's putty. If I had taken the time at the very beginning to slow down and really examine what I needed to get done, what I needed to do, I could have made one trip versus 3 trips. So slowing down to get clear on what we want helps us clarify the message that we want to send to our people. And this works whether it's one-to-one or many-to-many. Candor. How many of you want more candid conversations? Almost everybody does. What prevents candor?
I guess we're trying to be professional, not burden other people if we have a problem.
Okay.
Fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection. Paul, how about for
We
you?
don't want to be embarrassed.
Don't want to be embarrassed. How about the fear of upsetting somebody else, hurting their feelings? Right? The reason I have a burning plane here is because in the 1980s, NASA did some research. They put commercial airline crews into a simulator and gave them a crisis. They got 3 outcomes. Number 1, they called these the Top Guns. The captain of the crew grabbed the controls, muscled the plane onto the ground, and they crashed more frequently than the other 2. The second group, the captain of the crew turned around and said, "Crew, we've got a problem." And everybody contributed information, they collaborated, they shared, and they landed more safely. But it's the third group that really interests me. The captain of that crew turned around and said, "Crew, we've got a problem." And the crew said, "Yep, so what?" And they crashed almost as frequently as the first crew. When they debriefed them, they asked, "Why did you do that?" And the crew said, "Well, the captain has been very clear with us that I don't care what you say. I've got all the answers. I'm in charge. It's my plane. Don't give me feedback." So we just said, okay. So ask yourselves, where is that happening in your organization? Where is that happening in your lives? Now here's the other side of that story. Ford Motor Company, when Alan Mulally took it over, was losing billions of dollars. He gathered his direct reports together and said, "We're going to meet every Thursday, and you're going to give me a dashboard. Green is everything is great. Yellow is I'm watching this, I might need some help. Red is help me, I'm in trouble." And for 3 weeks, he watched all 12 show up with green. I think he was remarkably patient. But then in week 3, as only you can imagine a CEO would say, he said, "Guys, we've got a problem. We're losing billions of dollars. I've got the financials right here. And you're telling me that everything is good. I got a problem with that. Either you're not telling me the truth or you're not capable of seeing what's wrong." Neither one of those is a good response. The next week, one guy showed up with some yellow and some red. After standing up and applauding him, everybody started working together. And over time, everybody showed up with the ugly stuff. And here's why that's important. In 2008, you and I bailed out General Motors and Chrysler. We did not bail out Ford Motor Company. They were having those difficult conversations and dealing with it. That's the power of candor. So how do we foster candor in our organizations and our lives? We have to ask for it. And then when we get it, we can't go, "We've already tried that. I don't like that." Because the minute we shut down candor, it won't come back. Respect. Here in the United States, we have a phrase that says, sticks and stones can break my bones, but...
Words never hurt me.
Right. Research in Israel shows something different. They studied 24 neonatal units. Those are young baby, preemies. And they had a simulated patient, so no real babies were hurt in this. And they had 24 teams. And the variable was people walking by the treatment area. In one case, they said, hey, how are you? In the other case, they said to their colleague, can you believe how bad the medicine is here? Researchers showed that the people that heard the rude comment misdiagnosed the baby more often than the other group. And when they looked at the videos and the recordings afterwards, the people that heard the video quit collaborating, quit sharing, quit working together to solve the problem. So the reality is sticks and stones can break our bones and words can really hurt us. And here's the sad thing, 98% of us will experience something rude this month. And as a result of that, 43% of us will withhold our effort. 40-some% of us will take off some time. 20-some% of us, I think it's 21%, will take it out on a customer. We want to foster respect within our teams. And the way we do that is how?
We give it.
Right? We model it. And when we see it not showing up, we have a conversation about that. I worked for a sales manager in an organization that said respect was a big deal. But every one of us had a nickname. Nicknames really aren't respectful, are they? So we have to be cautious of that. Attention. Energy flows where our attention goes. So I work with a number of engineers, and they're really quick to see the flaw. They're really quick to see what's wrong. And it's easy for all of us as managers to see, stop doing that, stop doing that, stop doing this. But just like race car drivers, when they're in the curve, you don't want to look at the wall because you'll drive into the wall. We want to look at where we want to go. So as leaders, when we can say, don't fuss about our customers, the brain, the reticular activating system hears, fuss with our customers. It doesn't hear the don't. So a better way to say that is, hey, greet each customer with a smile. Greet our customers with gratitude. All of us have something that we want to say, stop doing that. If we can phrase that into a start doing, we can get a different result from our people. So I want to give you a chance to prepare for a difficult conversation. On a piece of paper, take a moment and pick a situation that you have where you want to give someone some feedback. Try to be we go till 10:30?
You can go a little over if you need to.
Okay, so we're actually going to do this together. So pick something that you're willing to share with someone. And just pick a situation. What is it that happened? Where was it? So I'll give you an example. I work with salespeople. Oftentimes they show up and they can't find their presentation material in their briefcase. When they finally get it, the customer has already checked out. So the situation is a sales call. The behavior is you don't have your presentation material there. The impact is the customer checked out. So see if you can connect with what's going on with the person that you want to give feedback to. Be as specific as you can. What evidence do you see of it? What KPIs, what metrics are there? What would you like to see, and how would you know they were heading down the right road? I had a sales manager one time that said, I want more sales. Great, but sales is the end of the road. What would you see before the sale happened that would tell you that your team's on the right place? So what would you see with this person to show you that they're heading in the right direction? Then see if you can connect in your heart with why you want them to be successful. We're all leaders in this room. We don't get anything done unless our teams are successful with that, unless our customers, our family is successful. So if nothing else, we can be that mercenary. But see if you can connect in your heart with why you want them to be successful. Because people will know. We are contagious. Recent research has said, this comes from Daniel Coyle, 19 words will get up to 40% more response, more effort in response to feedback. Let me say that again. 19 words will get up to 40% more effort in response to feedback. Anybody want to know what those 19 words are? I'm giving you these comments because I have high expectations. and I know you can do it. There are 3 messages embedded in there. One is, I care about you, so I'm giving you these comments. 2 is, I have high expectations, so you're part of an elite group. And 3, I have confidence in you. I know you can do it. I don't really think we need 19. I think I can say, hey, Paul, I care about you, so I'm going to give you some feedback. I think it's just that simple. But people know when we care. There's a difference, right, between venting criticism, just saying, stop doing that, that sucks, and I care about you, so I'm giving you some feedback so you can get better. Rich, you and I are both in Toastmasters. The Toastmaster feedback program is one of the best in the world because we want to give people feedback that helps them get better, but we want them to come back, so we don't want to scare them off. When we take the time to really connect with why we want our people to succeed, they know that. So then write down, how will you demonstrate that you care? What will you say? I just gave you 19 words. Always ask permission to coach. Always ask permission to give feedback. How many of you have received feedback that you didn't ask for? What'd you do with that feedback? Kind of didn't feel too good about it, did you? Oh, because our brains are remarkable. You know, in the old days, so what's interesting, I'm reading Dale Carnegie's book again. He wrote this in the 1930s. And it's as true today as it was back then, but today we have the science. We can take blood samples to check chemistry. We can put on fMRIs and see brain imaging. The way we communicate with each other has an impact. So when we ask permission to coach and they say yes, a switch turns on in their brain and they're open to hear it. And then always ask for a commitment. I'll give you another minute to wrap that up. Looks like most of you are done. So now I want to take 10 minutes, and we're actually going to give you a chance to practice this. So pick a partner, and partner A will coach partner B on the difficult conversation. They will have that difficult conversation. Partner B, this is your chance to earn an Emmy, a Tony, an Oscar. Play along with them a little bit, but also be aware of how you feel in response to the feedback. Are you open to it, or do you feel a little bit defensive? And after 5 minutes, we'll switch and come back and go the other way. Any questions?
Hey, before we do this, because we have the live people, can we do that when we end the video? Or do you need to do it now during your presentation?
Well, I'd like to get the feedback at the end of this, but
Okay.
Because we have them live, we'll do it at the end.
Okay.
All right, so for those of you at home, find someone to practice this. So I often give my clients this worksheet as a way for them to slow down and prepare for this conversation. If you would like a copy of this worksheet, you'll notice the disc symbol up in the corner. That's because we normally spend more time in this, understanding communication dynamics. But if you'd like a copy of this, fill out the feedback form that's on the table for you with your email address, and I will send this to you. I will not sign you up for my email address or my email list. I will not put you on a list of any sort. I'll give you the opportunity in that email to do it, but I won't automatically do that. But this is a way for me to learn how to get better at this. And it gives you a chance to, what is the issue? What do I know about their communication style? Do they like data? Do they want to have control? Are they concerned about social status? How can I connect with why I want them to be successful? Then get into the specifics. What's measurable? What do I want to see? And then a place to capture your commitment. Again, feedback and your email, and I'll send this to you. Now here's how this all comes together. Owen is the North American sales manager for a chemistry company. He'd been in place for about 6 months. His team had not hit quota in over a year. He knew that if he didn't make a change was going to be made. So he and I spent 2 days together getting really clear on his goals. Not only how to get sales, but what were the things that led up to sales? Sample requests, new client or new contacts in accounts, new accounts, talking to R&D people. And we focused on that. He learned how to have a candid conversation, pulling in different communication styles with respect, and how to focus his team on what he wanted versus what he wasn't getting. We also taught him a structure and a cadence to how to have these conversations both at the team level and at the one-to-one level. He had 4 out of 9 at plan. 12 weeks later, after he and I spent once a week before a meeting and after a meeting debriefing his meeting, 12 weeks later, he had 7 out of 9 at plan. They had exceeded their quota 3 months in a row, and they had made up a 5 million pound backlog in products shipped. 90 days. All because Owen was willing to commit to clarity, candor, respect, and attention. And he held his place when people said, I don't want to be accountable. I don't want that to be visible. So before I go into my closing remarks, I'd like to take a break and have some questions. Connie.
So out of the 4, clarity, candor, respect, attention, if you could go to your past 10 clients and go, which one should be on our radar in prioritizing that? Which one has highest impact, highest kind of, actionable items? Out of those 4, which one would you say is number 1?
Clarity. Being very clear. Because if you and I say that because if I slow down and get really clear, part of getting clear is being able to say the message, deliver the message in a way that gets results. And sometimes when we're not candid, we kind of dance around it. I mean, how often have you been in a conversation where you hear a bunch of words and you go, what? Because we're trying to dance around and say, yeah, it's good, everything's good, I'm all okay, when in fact you can see that there's something wrong. And when we have, the Sandler guys say this very well, and I will get back to you is a delayed no. When we're working with someone and they say, I'll get back to you, I'll let you know, we know what's coming, but unless we actually address that, the deal's gone. And we're going to spend countless hours. I chased the deal for 20 months. Not doing that again. But slowing down to get clear, I think, helps.
Okay, thank you.
Rich.
But clearly there are many, many managers and bosses that suffer from a lack of these skills. So what motivates them to have a lack of these skills?
I think it's lack of awareness and time. We think we are so busy. I had this conversation yesterday. We are awash in a sea of data and news and information coming at us. But that's not knowledge, that's not wisdom, that's just data. And we run from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. And as I come into this meeting, if I still have the old meeting with me, I'm not here with you. And so I take shortcuts. So I think it's time and lack of awareness. Which is why I'm doing this. I'm raising awareness. Other questions?
What's the best way to go into your team, your staff meeting, your family, whatever, and change the culture? What's the best way to, other than saying, hey, we're going to do this now? What's a way to introduce this idea that, the complete honesty within everything we do?
So what I've observed in my clients is when they say I'm working with a coach and we're going through this program to really change the dynamics of our communications, because clearly we weren't hitting our numbers, now we want to hit our numbers. Teams now understand why it's different than what it was. So I think back to candor, just being clear and saying, hey, we're having some challenges in our dynamic. I'd like to change that, so I'm going to be practicing something different. I invite you to join me with that. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Any other questions? All right. Because I'm a communicator, I like words. This one always makes me think of Rocky and Bullwinkle. Abracadabra, pull a rabbit out of your hat. Actually, this word has its roots in the old Aramaic language. That's the language that preceded Hebrew. It means, as I speak, so I create. We've just spent the last 30 minutes or so talking about ways that we can enhance our communications to get more productivity, more influence, and more performance from ourselves and others. Abracadabra. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, John. And while you're still kind of up here, now the screen's off, how can we interact with you and communicate with you going forward if anybody here in the room or on Facebook wants to work with you going forward to get more information or ask questions?
Great.
anything like that.
Thank you, and thank you for that. For those of you that would like, I'm going to pass around a clipboard, and you can sign up for a time slot for a free consultation on communication and how it can impact yours or your team's performance. Otherwise, you can find me on LinkedIn at John R. Gies, Facebook, johngies.com, or Twitter at jrgies.
Perfect. And I would recommend everybody on Facebook, if you want to reach out, add a message, and John can reach back out to you directly through Facebook or any of the other methods that he mentioned. But if you're on there, it's easy to post a comment, and he will go back and check that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're going to go do that 10-minute exercise here in a second. But before we end the Facebook Live, I wanted to get a couple of people up here for feedback. So I'm going to pick 2 people in the front row. So Emily, do you want to come up in front of the blank screen? Works well. And quickly, because you're here, you get the benefit of introducing yourself. So name, company, and then what you took out of today's presentation.
Okay, I'm Emily Downs. My company's Imago Visual. I'm the brand doctor. And I wrote notes. Connecting in my heart with my desire for their success. I think we forget that one a lot. You know, you're like, oh, they screwed up again, and I gotta have a talk with them, and now my boss is yelling at me. But to think about them in that perspective of wanting success for them, that really changes the whole conversation. So I thought that was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. And then Rich, you're in the front row. You get to come on up too. So again, name, company, and what you took out of today and what you could implement going forward in your own life or whatever.
Sure. You know what I do, my name is Rich Hopkins, and I work with individuals on communication. So it was great hearing John talk about how communication works in more of a corporate structure and how he can help people use those techniques to communicate better. Because when I'm coaching individuals, I basically have to translate what you're using in a group format on a corporate scale to a one-on-one scale, so a single person can use the concepts you teach to reach their audience. So I really appreciated the fact that you pointed those out and gave me a new way to think about those, because I'm so used to working just one-on-one versus necessarily working one-on corporate.
Thanks.
All right, well, I appreciate that. And then this event doesn't happen without a couple of different key allies that we have here. Hopefully, I can get this up here. Look at that.
Well done.
Oh, and I broke it. So right here, we have a couple of allies. So I'm going to have Connie come up. She allows us to use Switchboard Networking Boutique as our event center. So I really do appreciate her having us here. She's fixing the screen for us, or
Yep,
something.
we're good.
So how do we interact with you, and what do you guys do here?
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming from home, away from home, and that was wonderful, John, so thank you for that. So I'm Connie Kircher. I serve as the owner and founder of Switchboard Networking Boutique. So the best way to connect with us is actually come and see us. So yes, you can do a call to action of going and checking out our website, switchboardnb.com, as a networking boutique. But really, I think the most fruitful use of your time is come check us out, come into our large venue, come check out over 50 local business owners that are our Business in a Box partners that frame our large venue. And for those speakers, trainers, and also networking groups, we are booking into spring 2019. So if you're looking for a space up north of 70, but south of Wyoming, we would love to serve and connect in that way. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I am the MC, so I'm the pretty face, or at least the face here. And when I'm not doing this, I work with a company called Team National. So we help businesses reach over 2 million members across the country, or 10,000 businesses that they can market to. We help them cut their overhead, and for the individuals and families, we help them save on everyday expenses ranging from toothpaste and toilet paper all the way up to cars and furniture and things like that. So if you have any questions, Connie, go to your website, reach out to you. For me, just comment on here or tag me, and I can reach back out to you if you have any questions there. And then with that, I think we are done with the Facebook Live presentation. Unfortunately, for all you people out there, you missed out on the 10-minute guided tour that we're
Find
doing.
someone in practice.
So you have to do it on your own, but we're going to have John guide us through that 10-minute interaction, how to communicate with people better, how to give them feedback without pissing them off, basically. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody out there, and hopefully you can join us at the next event here in person.